Nigeria pushes for more maritime space. Report on continental shelf before Buhari.
This type of project, where Nigeria will gain additional territory without conflict, has never happened before.
Caring for the needy. Federal government directs release of grains from reserve.
We will be giving some of these grains also to the humanitarian ministry also to do the same distribution.
Plus, 2 months into ASU's warning strike, government revisits 2009 agreement to end strike.
The union is of the opinion that they would want to be paid through the UTAS.
Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Ian Ray John and we're live in Abuja. Adiola Komiokera is reading with me tonight from Lagos while Mohammed Ibrahim is in Maiduguri. Many thanks for joining us. And it's good to know before we begin that you can watch this news broadcast live on our website on nta.ng/live and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the release of over 40,000 metric tons of assorted grains from the Strategic Grains Reserve for distribution to the poorest of the poor in the country, especially during this festive season. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar, announced this while addressing journalists shortly after being summoned by the president.
One of the issues we are facing with high prices of commodities across the country, and also to cushion this during these festivities, Ramadan, Easter, Salah, so that there will be a little cushion for the people during these festivities. Not just as the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, but also that we'll be giving some of these grains also to the humanitarian ministry also to do the same distribution. The grain is coming from our grain strategic reserve directed by Mr. President.
The minister said the same process deployed during the COVID-19 lockdown to distribute assorted food items in parts of the country and the Federal Capital Territory would be adopted.
See, there's really no sharp drop in productivity or in agricultural production. There is still food, and people are still cultivating in all parts of the country. Some of the areas where it has some security implication, yes, it may have a little drop, but the government is doing everything humanly possible to make sure that production continues in other parts, and even areas where there are issues. The government is doing whatever it takes. Like the Ministry of Agriculture, we have agro rangers who sometimes provide some kind of security cover that will make sure food production does not stop. I can assure you that we don't have problems with food production at this point. Yes, indeed, the Russian-Ukraine conflict, yes, is an issue of concern. As a result of that, Mr. President has directed that we sit and discuss, and not just the Minister of Agriculture, but NALDA, NCFI, all of those that are concerned, the central bank. We have met 2-3 times to discuss the issue of Ukraine. Yes, indeed, Nigeria imports grains and other agricultural input from Ukraine. We are making sure that we look inward and outward to make sure this conflict does not affect our agricultural sector. But the most important thing is to up our own agricultural production. And this without saying, you know, that no administration in recent times that has given the agri sector such an attention and funding as the current administration of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari.
In other news, Nigeria's bid to expand its maritime territory under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea is fully on course. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this, expressed absolute confidence in the ability towards achieving the objective without war, litigation, or even purchase. This was while receiving a progress report from the high-powered Presidential Committee on Nigeria's Extended Continental Shelf Project. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari listens with rapt attention to the administrative and technical presentation by the high-powered committee on the Continental Shelf project led by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. The project, which was in limbo for more than 30 months, was rescued and revitalized by the present administration in view of its significance to the economic well-being and sustainable future of the country. With a high sense of optimism, the minister had told the president that the committee is not only delivering but gaining more grounds for Nigeria on the extended Continental Shelf project. President Muhammadu Buhari promised necessary support and assistance to the committee towards concluding the project in good time so that every bit of the maritime space Nigeria deserves under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea is claimed by the country.
I have always had substantial interest in the project right from the first day I heard of it, because this type of project where Nigeria will gain additional territory without conflict has never happened before in her lifetime. I am therefore glad that it is happening within our lifetime. This is one of the many reasons why I have been ardently following your progress over time.
Most wars that have taken place in the past and the present noted, have always been territorial. For Nigeria in particular, he said, this is the one and only chance to gain territory without war, a territory that lies within the Golden Triangle in the Gulf of Guinea, which contains unquantifiable resources yet to be discovered.
I'm looking forward to the day that I can announce to Nigerians that additional maritime territory has been approved for Nigeria by the United Nations Commission on the limits of the continental shelf.
President Buhari commended the committee on the progress made so far, as well as the dedication invested on the work within a short time. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Senate seeking to review of the 2022 medium-term expenditure framework. The aggregate expenditure is projected to increase by 192.5 billion naira. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo brings us details.
With President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan reading the executive communication, the amendment became necessary as the 2022 budget deficit is projected to increase by 965.42 billion naira to 7.35 trillion, representing 3.99% of the gross domestic product. The increased deficit will be financed with a new borrowing from the domestic market. The review increased the estimated crude oil price benchmark from $62 to $73 per barrel. Daily crude oil production from 1.883 million barrels per day to 1.6 million barrels per day.
An increase in the estimated provision for PMA subsidy for 2022 by 3.557 trillion naira from 442.72 billion naira to 4 trillion naira.
Senate passed the Nigerian Hunters Council Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Biodun Olujimi, the Nigerian Peace Corps Bill by Senators Stephanus Gyang and Patrick Abba Moro, and the Federal College of Education Special Afonkwara State Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe. The bill that seeks to repeal the Immigration and Prison Service Board and enact the Civil Defense Corps, Correctional, Federal Fire and Immigration Service Board, sponsored by Leader of the Senate Yahaya Abdullahi, and the Army Color Prohibition Act Amendment Bill by Senator Uche Ekwinife, passed second reading.
Correctional, Federal Fire and Immigration Services Board Bill 2022 for a more comprehensive legislation
seeks to increase the fine for violation of the Principal Act from 200 naira to 500,000 naira. And not less than 1 year imprisonment.
The Chief Whip of the Senate, Orji Uzor Kalu, briefed National Assembly correspondents, where he stated that a consensus decision reached at the National Convention of the All Progressives Congress was a product of democratic engagements.
I want to use this opportunity again to congratulate Mr. President for that able way he solved the problem. All of us like Abdullahi Adamu. He was my colleague in 1999, and he was also our colleague here in the Senate. So, and he will play a fatherly figure.
Meanwhile, Senators Abdullahi Adamu and Abubakar Kyari have resigned from the Senate following their new positions in the APC as National Chairman and Deputy National Chairman North. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And still in the National Assembly, the House of Representatives has approved more than 369.1 billion naira budget of the Nigeria Customs Service for 2022. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
Issue from the Statutory Revenue Fund of Nigerian Customs Service in the total sum of 369 billion.
The approval, in line with the medium-term expenditure framework earlier approved by the National Assembly, show that 214.2 billion naira is for capital projects, 108.8 billion naira goes to personnel, while 45.8 billion naira is for overhead. The House urged the Nigeria Customs Service to provide 27 billion naira from its surplus for repair of scanners to make easy examination of containers at ports and other designated points. The House has passed the Nigeria Customs Service Repeal and Reenactment Bill, meant to put aside the 63-year-old act currently in operation.
To facilitate trade, improve revenue generation, and more importantly, expose illegal importation of arms and ammunition into the country. All this will be made possible when this bill becomes an act.
5 bills were read the third time and passed, while 3 passed second reading, including the bill to establish Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery Kurfi, Katsina State, from Armayau Abdul Qadir. The House adopted a motion from Abdul Salam Mubarak urging authorities to arrest killings and kidnappings in communities of Taraba and Plateau states.
The recent wanton killings and kidnapping in Baligasol Federal Constituency and other communities in Taraba and neighboring Plateau has claimed over 150 lives, several others injured, properties worth millions of naira destroyed, with over 5,000 internally displaced persons.
The House also resolved to investigate alleged disappearance of mass transit buses provided by the federal government in the FCT, as raised by Ikenna Elezanya.
The citizens who are denied these services are daily faced with the risk of riding in commercial vehicles operated by kidnappers, armed robbers, and bandits.
In another development, House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila asked the public hearing of 25 bills before the House Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions, including Federal College of Agriculture in Uguku in Anambra State, Federal University of Agriculture, Kano, and in Ipuba, Edo State, said training is key to revolutionize the agricultural sector. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And on electoral matters, INEC has published the final list of candidates for the July 16th Osun State governorship election. A statement by the INEC National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, indicates that 15 political parties are sponsoring candidates. Incumbent Governor Adegboyega Oyetola is the candidate for the APC, while Adeleke Adidamola for the PDP. INEC reminds any political party that observes its candidate's name is missing to notify the Commission in writing and signed by the National Chairman and the Secretary, not later than 90 days to the elections. And in Kaduna, a one-time gubernatorial aspirant in Kaduna State on the platform of the defunct All Nigeria People's Party in 2007 general elections, Sani Muhammad Shaban, has renewed his aspiration to contest governorship election on the platform of the APC. Muhammad Baba reports.
This is not the first time Sani Shaban has been nursing ambition to be governor of Kaduna State, but the difference is that in the past he sought the position on the platform of opposition party, but now he wants to contest on the banner of ruling party. This cleared the coast for Sani Shaban to promote his ideas on why he should be elected as the next governor of Kaduna State. He said consolidating the successes of Governor Nasiru Ahmad El-Rufai is key to his aspiration.
As a progressive and open-minded Nigerian, I consider it a golden opportunity and a chance to display my courage, rekindle my innovative instincts, showcase my character, offer myself to continue where Governor Yanubai stops after expiration of his tenure in 2022.
Alhaji Sani Sha'aban believes Kaduna deserves the best among those aspiring to take it to the next level of socio-economic and political development. Therefore, he possesses those qualities needed in an aspirant. Speakers extol sterling qualities of Sani Sha'aban, describing him as astute administrator with capacity to govern Kaduna State effectively. They call on APC supporters in Kaduna State to elect Sha'aban as their candidate during party's primary election. In Kaduna, Muhammad Baba, NTA News.
Thank you for staying. As full details emerge on the scale of the brutal terrorist attacks in Kanam and Wasi communities in Plateau State, President Muhammadu Buhari has described the killings as heinous. He said that the perpetrators should not be allowed to escape justice. He ordered law enforcement agencies to work strenuously with the government of the state to bring the situation under control and take steps to bring the culprits to justice quickly. President Buhari expressed condolences over the terrorist incident. He said that as a matter of priority, peace must return at all costs to the state and the entire country. Similarly, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, has sympathized with the government and people of Plateau State over the continuous attacks on Kanam and Wasa local government areas, as well as Basa local government, where scores have died and houses destroyed. She equally lends her voice with that of the state government in calling on the federal government for collaboration to deal with the terrorists hibernating in the general area once and for all, to enable the people of the state to go about their legitimate businesses without molestation and harassment. And away from Plateau State, the federal government has rejected the 2021 annual World Press Freedom Index, which placed Nigeria as a country not conducive for the practice of journalism. Maintaining that Nigeria remains among the freest in the world, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this when he granted audience to executives of the International Press Institute in Nigeria. Anthony Forsen reports.
I relate and try to promote robust freedom of the press.
Expressing displeasure at the manner in which some media organizations and practitioners operate, the minister said some publication or position the media takes leaves a lot to be desired.
When you sit there in a place, and like I said, somebody decides, a paper decides and says, look, a president was voted for by ministers of Nigeria, for whatever reason, they would start calling me a general. And none of you has found anything wrong in that. That is, you are denying the sovereignty of the whole of Nigeria. It's a president. And despite that, this administration has done nothing to hinder the operation of that, medium. So I think we should all be very careful when we bandy, figures about your own country.
The minister appealed to IPI to take seriously certain attitudes that are enshrined in positive practice.
For example, on the issue of ethics, is it part of the ethics of journalism for a media organization to function like an opposition party, seeing nothing good in the government of the day and only reporting bad news? The last time I checked, the constitutionally guaranteed role of the media here in Nigeria is that of a watchdog, not an opposition.
Earlier, President of IPI Nigeria, Muskilu Mojid, said IPI is a global network of media executives, editors, and leading journalists that are constantly and strongly crusading for media freedom, as well as committed to credible and independent journalism.
We are here to engage with you on how we can collaborate to make Nigeria a better operating environment for journalists and the media, especially as the 2023 election season approaches.
He assured that an avenue will be created for frequent engagement between government and the institute. In Abuja, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
The federal government has declared Friday 15th and Monday 18th of April 2022 as public holidays to mark Easter celebration. In a statement, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, urged Christians to emulate the attributes of sacrifice, togetherness, forgiveness, kindness and love as exemplified by Jesus Christ during his ministry on earth. He also called on Nigerians to pray for an end to security challenges in the country as the federal government is working to restore peace to troubled areas of the country. The federal government is mobilizing engineers to commence repair works at the vandalized transmission tower in Akwa Ibom State that led to nationwide power outage last week. Joshua Ojito reports that the ministerial delegation in assessment of the damaged infrastructure also engaged state government on synergy to protect power facilities.
You may wonder what led to nationwide power outage last week. It is this act of vandalization of a major transmission tower in Akwa Ibom State. It is a transmission tower on the Odukpani Ikot Ekpene 330 kV double-circuit transmission line, which was brought down in the creeks of Akwa Ibom State by the vandals. Hundreds of megawatts of electricity generated from power plants in Cross River State lost and the national supply disrupted. Federal government says the load shedding is worrisome, and the managing director of Transmission Company of Nigeria, Sule Abdulaziz, on the mandate of the power minister, is in the creeks to assess the vandalized infrastructure. 1 week deadline set to fix the damaged tower as engineers are being mobilized to site.
The whole power sector, we are doing our best to make sure that we provide a better supply to Nigerians. And I have already engaged a contractor to come and repair these things. So I'm assuring Nigerians that it will not take time. This tower is going to be erected and we are going to supply good electricity to Nigerians within a shortest period of time.
We are aware of the vandalization of equipment that is going on. We have put the structure in place to hunt down the people that are responsible, and I'm sure some arrests will be made if none has been made already.
Beyond fixing the infrastructure, there are calls for communities to take ownership of power facilities as federal government sustain investment in the sector. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a new dawn as NG Energy Access launches its first hybrid 90 kilowatts mini grid that connects local communities to electricity for the first time in Nigeria. The inauguration took place in Gbangbal community in Gwaka local government area of Niger State. Jones Ajayi reports.
NG Energy Access, a leading provider of solar home system, is aimed at connecting unelectrified households and small businesses in Nigeria. To this end, it has connected more than 300 households in Gbangba community in Niger State to electric power for the first time. The mini-grid provides the community with affordable, reliable, and clean electricity that enhances micro and small businesses.
Basically, the solar panels that we have can last up to 20 years, and the batteries, every 10 years we can change them.
The payment is done through mobile phone. You charge a smart meter, so it's a meter that is connected to your house, and the consumption that you do on a daily basis will reduce the amount that you have on the meter, and then you recharge when you want to have electricity again.
Lights that we have, we are feeling fine. We are feeling enjoying of the freezers.
I enjoy this light well, but I use the pump and the fridge and the engine and the iron. So some things that they use now. I thank God. I thank that people will come this village.
French ambassador to Nigeria, Emmanuel Blackman, restated the commitment of the embassy to the development of Niger State and other states of the nation. Niger State Governor, in a message through the Commissioner for Works, Muhammad Musa, said the project will serve as a catalyst to many businesses that will spring up in the area to change their economic status. High point was the lighting up of the wheel and a facility tour. NG Energy Access customers are expected to recharge on pay-as-you-go basis. Jones Ajayi, NTA News.
And in Port Harcourt, barely 6 months, another explosion has rocked the Nembe Beli Boni in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, claiming unspecified number of lives Monday. Robinson Deratede has an update of the situation.
Nembe Jetty, where fire destroyed a lot of lives and property worth millions of naira. The fire, which allegedly started around midnight on Sunday, resulted in the loss of many lives, 3 tugboats, and an unquantifiable number of speedboats. Not less than 10 corpses have been recovered, including 3 children and a pregnant woman. It is alleged that the fire started from one of the tugboats ferrying market women from Odiama. Ahmed Musa from Bauchi State, who went to buy aluminium scraps from brass, lost 3 of his brothers and goods worth 30 million naira.
That we don't come in the night, you understand. So me, I'll go buy something for my boys, and my boys are inside the boat, you understand. Before I come, the boat can't catch fire. And the 3 my brothers, all of them, they don't die for inside, and they're 3, you understand. And my market where I buy, you understand, is 60 ton, 9 be 30 million.
Well, around after 12, they wanted to pump the water out. But the boy made a fatal mistake by not offing the gen, the pumping machine, and then put fuel. So the thing ignited, caught himself and caught the jerry can that he is also putting the fuel in. And then as he threw the jerry can, the thing now splashed on 2 boats and then caught all the boats, over 100 speedboats, and then more than 60 lives burnt off down.
A similar incident happened last year, November, at the same jetty. So the need for government to station a fire service here has become very important. The jetty is still a beehive of activities, while people were searching for boat engines in the water. From Nembe Jetty, Robinson Deratede, NTA News.
The issue of petroleum products diversion and other sharp practices associated with loading at the depot will soon be a thing of the past. This resolution was taken at a meeting between the Police Affairs Minister and independent petroleum marketers in Abuja. Francis Fom reports.
In order to live with the border. These are stakeholders in the petroleum downstream sector meeting the Police Affairs Minister to seek for support in addressing the challenges relating to diversion of petroleum products, black markets trading in the depots.
Right now, we can't have our owners taking responsibility for these diversions because they can monitor, they can surveil their trucks. So it is a problem that we're trying to deal with.
And I believe with what we have seen today, we have been given all the necessary assurances from Honorable Minister that they will work with us 100%. And we are happy, we are grateful. The Minister reminded the delegation that Nigerians depend on petroleum products and that the Ministry will rely on them to tackle the challenges around the depots.
We are aware of our responsibilities and we will endeavor to give you all the necessary support and cooperation that is required for us to ensure that these products reach all the corners and crannies of the country that it is supposed to reach. The Minister further assures the stakeholders that those who are out to bend the rules will be shown the way out and treated accordingly. Frank is from NTA News.
And the Education Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and the 2009 Federal Government and Universities-Based Unions Renegotiation Committee are utilizing different approaches to regularize grey areas in the proposed agreement signed in 2020 between government and ASU. The aim is to find a lasting solution to instant strikes in the country. Charles Arthur brings us details.
The federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities few years ago signed a proposed agreement with the aim of meeting the demands of ASU. Despite effort by government to meet the demands, ASU claimed the proposed agreement has not been completely honored, and this has led to the shutting down of tertiary institutions every now and then in Nigeria. In the light of this, the federal government set up a university-based union renegotiation team to interface with parties involved with the aim of finding a common ground. The team after its meeting with the Academic Staff Union of Universities was with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, to release some of the pending issues, as you said, were contained in the proposed agreement.
So today we held a meeting with the unions, and they were quite upset. I think that's the right word. They were quite upset that government is unable to meet the respective demands that were being made. The union is of the opinion that they would want to be paid through the UTAS.
They are visiting government agencies that have things to do with the ASU and the other unions in the university system. They will see them next week, and they will be more enriched in the discussion so that they can be able to assist us.
The federal government negotiation team was given 6 weeks to finalize its work with the various parties. In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Let's now join Adiola in Lagos for more news. Adiola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Ayara. Repair works will commence soon on the damaged sections of the Akpogmo Bridge that was engulfed by fire, as soon as clearing of debris finishes in order to open the closed sections to traffic. Federal Controller of Works, Lagos State, Olukayede Pupuola, stated this during an inspection throughout the bridge, accompanied by relevant stakeholders. Abolade Salami reports.
Eko Bridge, connecting movements from Ikorodu Road en route Alaka into Lagos Island, has been closed to traffic for weeks as a result of fire outbreak from businesses operating under the bridge. Assessing the level of damage to a certain amount of work expected to be carried out on the affected portion, the Federal Controller of Works said while engineers working around the corridor have intensified work, arrangements are being concluded to commence repairs on the bridge.
This section where we have the fire incident was not part of the contract awarded for rehabilitation of this bridge. But because it's an emergency, the contractor has to be moved down to this place to start the work that they are doing. This will allow us to open the bridge to the traffic soonest.
In ascertaining the structural integrity of the bridge to provide services as regards movement of vehicles after the impact of the fire, conducting physical examination and testing of materials by relevant agencies is required.
One that just occurred now, they will know that the level is so much that the money that they are going to spend on this rehabilitation is going to be much.
To see what is happening here is a national disaster, because majority of the people that are in Lagos using this bridge use it to get to other extents of their own work, as far as back as any other part of Lagos.
To Lagosians to exercise patience as work is being finalized, stressed that complying with standards will not be compromised. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has confirmed that Nigeria is one of the 6 countries chosen to conduct mRNA vaccine for COVID-19. This will increase the prospect of vaccine production before the end of the year. At a press briefing in Lagos, the Director General of the agency, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, also hinted that NAFDAC has been upgraded to maturity level 3 on the World Health Organization's rating for regulatory agencies around the globe. Michael Olaleye reports.
Drawing a chronology of the rapid transformation within the agency from having to deal with 860 recommendations based on global benchmarking in 2018 to attaining maturity level 3 in 2022, the Director General says the certification is a product of effective inspection, compliance, and digitization of processes, with focus now shifted to attaining maturity level 4.
When we get to maturity level 4 and then specialize on some areas like regulatory inspection, clinical trial, whatever, some of those functions, we will now be classified as world listed authority.
Another area of major concern is the growing falsification of NAFDAC number, which is increasing the proliferation of fake drugs in the market. She shared a scenario in which an anti-malaria drug almost paralyzed its victim. But more cheering news is that the agency is adopting technology in which a track and trace system leveraging on barcoding reveals whether a NAFDAC number is cloned or not.
How can somebody not work for taking anti-malaria? That is why we are doing what we are doing, because nobody is exempted in terms of quality of medicine or quality of food.
On COVID-19 vaccine, the Director General says a homegrown solution is on the way before the end of the year. NAFDAC in 2019 inaugurated a Harbour Medicine Committee to capitalize on the country's huge deposit of biodiversity resources for locally produced drugs. An effort in that regard, the Director General hinted is progressing. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Lagos. But do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time now to...
Glad to have you back. Nigeria's first transportation university in Daura, Katsina State is set to commence academic activities by September this year. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi made this known while inspecting construction work at the university and the Kano-Kaduna rail line. Oyinaya Kalu Oka reports.
Was an inspection exercise that took the Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, to 3 places. The first place was at the construction site of the Kano to Kaduna standard gauge rail line in Dawakin Kudu, Kano State, where the minister held a crucial meeting with the contractors. The minister was not impressed with the level of work, and the issue of compensation was of concern to him.
That it is the responsibility of the governor to give us an unencumbered land, despite the fact that we have paid. So if there are problems that we are encountering problems. That is not in dispute. But I think that the best person to resolve those disputes will be the governor of the state.
At Dala Inland Dry Port in Kano, he was displeased with what he saw on ground.
They promised me they will complete by today. Have they completed the structures? Yes, but I didn't see the landscaping. So I said, look, until you complete the landscaping, I will not be able to bring the president here.
The story was, however, different at the University of Transportation Daura in Katsina State. Work is at advanced level.
They said remaining 7 buildings, and those 7 buildings should be ready before September. I've asked the PAMSEC to invite them for a meeting so that the school can start functioning from September.
The minister visited the Emir of Daura's palace, where he briefed the royal father on the benefits of the university. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA News.
The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, says the recent signing of Teachers' Harmonized Retirement Age Act by President Muhammadu Buhari is a very bold move to reposition the teaching profession and restore its former glory. The Harmonized Retirement Age for the Teachers in Nigeria Act provides for the retirement age of teachers in the country at 65. The BMO, in a statement, observed that signing of the bill into law will greatly benefit the educational system in the country, even as it will confer respect and prestige on the teaching profession after being utterly neglected over the years. Now, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has urged religious bodies to key into the vision of the federal government to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty within 10 years. He stated this when he received in audience the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, Most Reverend Ignatius K. Gama. Mitari Ikpen tells us more.
His Grace, Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, is at the presidency to seek support for Nigeria's hosting of the Regional Episcopal Conference of West African Bishops, billed for next month. The SGF, while pledging the federal government support for the event, commended religious organizations for promoting peace and socio-economic development in the country.
You are also assisting government to uplift the quality of the lives of these people. So it is not only dealing with the spirituality of the people, but also the day-to-day basic needs of the people in terms of provision of healthcare, in terms of provision of education, in terms of empowering and equipping the people.
Archbishop Kaigama, who is also the president of the Regional Episcopal Conference of West African Bishops, said the forthcoming conference will focus on how the church can further promote economic growth and the well-being of citizens in the sub-region.
How can we do more in the area of university education, for instance, secondary education, healthcare? We must talk. In Nigeria alone, we have quite a number of private schools in Ghana, Senegal, Cape Verde. Oh, they have theirs. We must learn from one another, and that is why it's good we meet.
About 200 bishops from 16 countries in West Africa will converge on Abuja between the 2nd to 9th of May for the Regional Episcopal Conference. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Let's now talk business, and Benny Adams is here. Benny.
Thank you, Yere. It's actually time to talk business. I will start by telling you that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, on Tuesday cut its forecast for growth in world oil demand in 2022, citing the impact of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, rising inflation and crude prices, in addition to the resurgence of the Omicron coronavirus variant in China. In its monthly report, OPEC said world demand would rise by 3.67 million barrels per day in 2022, down 480,000 barrels per day from its previous forecast. February saw oil prices soaring above $139 a barrel, the highest since 2008, and worsening inflationary pressures as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. OPEC says while it is forecast that both Russia and Ukraine will be facing recessions in 2022, the rest of the global economy will be impacted as well. The strong rise in commodity prices, in combination with ongoing supply chain bottlenecks and COVID-19 related logistical logjams in China, are also cited as reasons for growing global inflation. And on the capital markets, we have investors gained 181.73 billion naira as all share index appreciated further by 0.72% to close at 47,205.03 basis points. Market capitalization stood at 25.4 trillion naira, while 245.4 million shares valued at 4.5 billion naira exchanged hands in 5,832 deals. Capital led 30 gainers as against 15 losers, topped by Academy at the end of today's session. Guarantee, Zenith Bank and the Nigerian breweries were the most active to boost market turnover, while Seplat and Guarantee topped the market value list. That is business news, but network news continues with Mohammed in Maiduguri.
In Maiduguri, worried by problems of water shortage in some areas, Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum has visited some communities within Maiduguri Metropolitan Council and Jere local government area, where he ordered the State Ministry of Water Resources to ensure quick restoration of sources of supply to the communities. Mohammed Goni reports.
Places visited by the governor include Ol Maiduri, Kaur Maila, and Gidan Yashi. Professor Zulum interacted with residents in all the communities to get first-hand information and gave assurances of his administration to address the difficulty faced by the residents. The governor the water scarcity was caused by the global energy crisis, however urged residents to understand the complexities associated with the phenomenon. Governor Babagana Umara said he was aware of the water scarcity faced across the metropolis and environs and assured them that government is working tirelessly to come up with quick solutions to the problem. While assessing water facilities at Ol Maiduri, Governor Zulum inspected a 2-kilometer drainage aimed at preventing flooding during the upcoming rainy season. He hinted that government will soon undertake more flood control projects and make concerted effort against perennial floods affecting the communities. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
In the meantime, Borno State government has launched a 10 million naira empowerment and vocational capacity building training for 200 vulnerable women and youth in selected local government areas. of the state affected by the long years of Boko Haram insurgency. The program was supported by Managing Conflict in Nigeria program of the British Council with funding from the European Union. It's a continuous exercise targeting coverage of the entire state. Yagusu Bukar reports.
Unemployment is one of the biggest problems that has continued to cause concern across the nation, particularly within the insurgency-affected communities in the Northeast sub-region. This capacity enhancement training, which is regarded as a direct challenge to the economic crisis caused by the decade-long Boko Haram insurgency, is part of continued global investment in peace for more development of the women folk and youths. The 200 vulnerable women and youth drawn from Maiduguri Metropolitan Council and Jere were trained to act in the scale demanded for equitable peace and self-reliance, as well as build resilience for the victims of the humanitarian crisis in the conflict-affected region. Elizabeth Silvanus, a lactating mother, is among the 200 women and youth that appreciated the government and development partners for coming to their aid.
Empowerment is one of the strongest components in women peace and security building. By doing this is making a very good impact in developmental aspect of the country.
This just forms part of other interventions that we have around services provision that has to do with trauma counseling, as well as facilitating dialogue.
Representatives of EU and the British Council called on the participants to translate the empowerment exercise into reality and use the 10 million naira to improve their means of survival. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
And those are the stories from this end, and time for another break before network news continues in our Abuja studio.
Welcome back. Nigeria is creating an innovative ecosystem as it positions itself to be the leading digital economy in Africa. This is with the approval for more funds for the establishment of digital centers that will nurture startups of indigenous technologies, which is expected to cause digital transformation. Chimdema Ndubisi reports that this is a fallout of the Federal Executive Council meeting.
On 11th November 2020, the Federal Executive Council approved contract for construction of the National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. 3 months later, the foundation was laid. The center is to serve as a one-stop shop where young innovators, entrepreneurs, and startups will acquire cutting-edge technological skills, develop hardware, software, and emerging technologies, as well as link up technology hubs across the world. The major objective is to create more job opportunities, which is one of the federal government's quests.
Digital innovation and digital entrepreneurship. These are the two prerequisites of building an indigenous digital economy.
The contract was initially awarded for more than 9.5 billion naira. However, due to rising cost of critical materials, more funds were requested. The Federal Executive Council has granted approval for the increment. The construction work is at about 45% completion. The tech hub, expected to be completed in the second quarter of 2023, will be equipped with state-of-the-art facilities comprising digital innovation lab, mini research park, co-working startup space with digital literacy and skill capacity building facilities. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
And now a bit of sports. The crisis rocking Nigeria Basketball Federation is yet to be over. This followed meetings by the two parallel boards, again in Lagos, and a press briefing in Abuja.